after the river Shabelle burst its banks amid the heavier than normal rainfall following the Horn of Africa's worst tropical cyclone in years. Ali Haji Wehelo inspects the construction of a makeshift structure. Like the other displaced persons sheltering here, he treks for dozens of kilometers to escape the floods. The rains and floods have brought problems, he says. They have increased the hunger. Our farms have been submerged. Unless we receive help, we will not have anything left. But now a new report released by the World Meteorological Organization says the troubles of people like Ali may only get worse.
So the news are not good news.
The report released to coincide with the ongoing climate talks in Warsaw suggests that 2013 is keeping with the pattern, joining the list of the top 10 warmest years since records began in 1850.
This year is worse than last year, 2011. 2011 was worse than 2010.
Dr. Peter Ambeje of the Kenya Meteorological Department has monitored weather patterns for decades now, and he says Kenya too has every reason to worry.
We've heard of highland malaria occurring in places like Richo, Kakamega, Kisii, where we initially did not have those kind of episodes, mainly because of temperatures have increased.
Now, with so much at stake at this meeting, this report is bound to provide for a sobering moment on the need to assist those who are already affected and the urgency of stopping the gases that caused the problem in the first place. Jogeo, KTN, Warsaw, Poland.
A latest opinion poll released by Ipsos Synovate indicates majority of Kenyans want President Uhuru Kenyatta to attend his trial at the ICC and clear his name. The poll indicates that 67% of Kenyans think the case against the president is weak and that he should attend because he will emerge victorious and stronger. President Kenyatta, who was due to stand trial on November 12, had his case pushed until February next year. The government has been engaged in spirited effort from the African Union to the United Nations to have the Kenyan cases deferred. The UN Security Council is expected to vote on the request following the court's decision to allow Uhuru to skip some of the sessions. 2/3 of the respondents, 67%, said he would attend the trial when required, but a quarter of the respondents, 25%, said they would rather Uhuru did not attend the trial. Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto are facing charges of crimes against humanity in relation to the 2008 post-election violence. Ruto has been attending his trial, which has, however, been adjourned. Fresh from securing a new 5-year mandate to run the country, but angered by the West's refusal to accept his re-election and remove damaging economic sanctions, President Robert Mugabe, during his victory speech, threatened what he described as tit-for-tat measures in August this year. But Cabinet Minister for Finance Patrick Chinamasa is insisting that Zimbabwe is open to investment from the West despite a threat by President Mugabe to seize US and British companies over sanctions imposed against the country. The sanctions were imposed more than a decade ago over allegations of vote fraud and human rights abuses, although Mugabe believes the aim was to punish him for his land reforms. The United States and the European Union have, however, refused to remove the sanctions, backing claims by opposition leader Morgan Tsvangirai that the elections were fraudulent. Now, there's a video doing rounds on social media with over 300,000 eyeball views on YouTube starring Clifford Owusu telling why Africans don't pick phone calls.
That's my song.
Now, you know, when your calls are not picked, someone is dancing to their favorite song. I laughed at that one all day long. And if you want to watch it on YouTube, search for Reason Africans Don't Pick Phone Calls and have a good laugh. Today on the platform, we review what you say is the reason infidelity is on the rise in many nations around Africa. We got views from Kenya, Uganda, Ghana, sourced from Facebook, Twitter, and Skype, as well as video comments taken using your cell phones. Research suggests infidelity is one of the main drivers of HIV epidemic in sub-Saharan Africa. The study published in The Lancet found that between 30 and 65% of all new HIV infections among men in stable partnerships in Africa are caused by one partner being unfaithful. The figure for women was between 10 and 47%. The authors of the study said that the findings suggest current efforts to prevent the spread of HIV by focusing on couples where one person is HIV positive won't make any significant difference. Sub-Saharan Africa is the worst affected region in the world for HIV and AIDS infections. The UN estimates that 64% of all people living with HIV live in the Sub-Saharan region, with an estimated 25 million people infected. Here are the top 10 African countries leading in infidelity: Togo, Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Mozambique, Tanzania, Niger, Benin, Zambia, Mali, and Uganda. On social media, we posted the question to you asking why you think infidelity is on the rise in many African nations. On Facebook, Vince says it's premarital sex, and Gidudu Sanya says because monogamous marriages aren't exactly an African thing, and Lamek Nandwa says guys are just greedy. Fabish Ndungu says modern women don't accept polygamous marriages. Hababu Aziz, lack of morals. Omokoda Sam Ezra says lack of cultural values and marrying men or ladies who are not of your color. Example, Princess Komuntale of Toro in Uganda got married to a lumpen. Isaac Mbugi, the magnitude of infidelity is universally proportional to the distance between an individual with God. Lona Lynn Wede says, how can I track someone's phone? Let's say my husband. I want to track his communication. Any idea on the procedure? And Hannah Diamond says, permissiveness. Kuria Masharia says our elders were blind and every woman had a husband who could take care of their needs. Ahmed Kimba says infidelity, prostitution and the like have always been there, neither increase nor decrease. John Murphy says we don't like our culture and we have forsaken it for the Western culture. JB Marube simply puts it, poverty. Mungai vows because we are not proud of our own self and want others. After all, isn't it the trend now, immorality, though in a different name? Mbabazi Peter Mumbede says, imposed Europeanization of African culture, cultural erosion, leading to moral decay and also increased lack of faith. There is no more practices of marriage and Christian virtues, especially chastity. Simon Kavunga says, lack of moral standards in this digital era. Jumba Godfrey Sunday, we have embraced values and films from the West, such as soaps that advocate for such, and we watch them so faithfully.
Hi, this is Kesi from Ghana. I want to contribute to this discussion on the rise of infidelity in contemporary Africa. 3 quick points and I will be done. I think we have trivialized the essence of marriage. This pornographic culture that we find ourselves in gives us unrealistic expectations about sex, and most of us rush into it with heightened expectations which are never met. And I think this has damned the institution of marriage. The second and the most obvious cause is that Africa has become too westernized. Words like friends with benefits, casual sex, one-night stands have now crept into the African vocabulary. What this has caused is what I call desensitization. The fact that infidelity is no longer looked on with contempt, and it's no longer as shameful and as contemptible as it used to be. My final and most controversial point is the fact that women have become self-sufficient. Women becoming self-sufficient is good for everyone. The only flip side over here is that most self-sufficient women think that they don't have anything to lose, even if they are caught in infidelity. In summary, I think infidelity is on the rise because 1, we've trivialized the essence of marriage. 2, Africa has become too westernized. And finally, the paradox of women becoming self-sufficient. Looking forward to discussing more with you in the near future. Thank you.
On Twitter, Ahikeo says population increase, foreign influence, and falling short of the glory of God. UG Pruick thinks technology and financial constraints. Doda Craig says it's always been disguised as polygamy in Africa, just that the terms and conditions are now changing. Kizito Namulanda believes it's because there is no divorce elsewhere, otherwise you would marry and divorce when you want. Magella Peter says it's also possible that infidelity is looked at from the Christian or Western eyes, hence view that it's not on the increase. Rosebel Kagumire asserts infidelity has been here with us. Difference is that people are more open about it. In some Ugandan traditions, if husband was away for long or at war, a woman was actually allowed to be with a male relative. Some of these infidelity issues plus what people think is African is actually colonial or Christian influence. Walter Misama says controlling and disrespectful behaviors by spouse experienced. Stanley Kefa Ofula blames it on the morals. Charles Mobile thinks infidelity is taking over where polygamy was discarded. It is time Africa got back to its roots. Ezekiel Obonyo adds humanity is speedily losing direction. Relationships are no longer based on moral values, but pressure, nonsensical issues. Langat Kiprop blames it on over-expectation from our women. Juliet Balibawaya says because people assume too much from one another and they end up disappointed. And Team Angache says lack of thankfulness, appreciation and satisfaction of spouses.
Thank you for contributing to the show. The show was intentionally meant to highlight what you think is the reason for increased infidelity around Africa. Thanks to our online contributors, Kwasi from Ghana and Chris Higenyi from Uganda. The conversation continues online under the hashtag AfricaInfidelity. I'm Joy Doreen Bira. I'll see you online, and until next Saturday, God bless.